You know, maybe these are the shows that makes it worse doing these kinds of projects, because this is not a bad show, and I can I have arguments why. So I hope you stick around and listen to what I have to say. Maybe I've skipped over some important stuff related to Agatha all along, so maybe if anything builds on it, I will go back to, I definitely go back and check whether those claims are valid or not. But here, every single review I saw, and I have, I used to think I have a pretty broad palette of reviewers, say incorrect things. You know, I already told you related back in the Iron Man movies that Iron Man didn't make his suit and that water accumulator from scraps. Those scraps were $1 million starting industry high tech stuff, disassembled and reassembled into his stuff. So, yeah, Riri Williams is right. You need to be a billionaire to do what Tony Stark achieved. But on the other hand, there is this, which never comes back into play, that she claims that she needs a mountain of vibranium to make her stuff, her ideas become real. That's absolute horseshit. Because if your idea is to work with the vibranium, then your idea is worthless. Because the world of the MCU does not have vibranium, does not have access to it. Pure and simple. Maybe they will have in the future, but until then, no. So there is that, but then the other thing was that Riri just gets fired from the university she is visiting, school, university, and because she's doing other people's homework. That was true in what that the movie was, the Wakanda Forever, but it's not true here. She still does stuff, but that's not why she's fired. And they claim that she instantly goes to be a criminal and she has no development aside thinking ever low. What is bullshit? And I tell you what's in the actual series. And you know, Ironheart as a concept, before I everything else, Ironheart as a concept has serious problems. Because on paper, she's a female kid and race swapped version of Iron Man. That obviously will piss people up. Even though Iron Man did nothing interesting since his first movie. He just didn't. Iron Man sucks. Now, there is also the problem that we already have an Iron Boy. Spider-Man. I don't know what's up with his suit. So there will be a Spider-Man 4 or something, so we will see, but otherwise Otherwise, Ironheart feels redundant. And that's a problem. The show also has some reused ideas like the cyborg who is directed by someone who he doesn't want to be controlled by. We saw that with Deadlock in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and let's face it, the guy Joe or the son of the villain in Iron Man 1 is the same person, if you are wondering, is it's not just reaching back too far, just like with Doctor Strange 1. We don't work from Multiverse of Madness, not even whatever. It's back to the original Doctor Strange movie. But the guy is just a Electro with extra steps. He has lightning powers. I don't know what his other stuff do, if anything. So yeah, there is a little bit of redundancy, and let's talk about the team, because for the most of it, like for the first 4 episodes, this is a heist movie. It's actually a 6 episode miniseries, and it uses its time perfectly fine. It doesn't need less or more episodes. This 6 episode format here worked perfectly. And especially I called that the 5th episode is like 55 minutes long plus credits, and the last episode is only 35 minutes plus credits. We are working here with a team who knows how much time they need. They know they are dumping this on streaming, so they don't have to work in a classical television serialization, so they can be flexible with the runtime. For the casting, let's talk about the team and in casting in general. I think it goes from good to great. I mean, Mephisto? And that's a point where Riri Williams shows she's not a Mary Sue, because she doesn't recognize the name. That's just funny. Mephisto is a great choice. Great pick. The guy's face just has these, wrinkle, or I don't know the English word proper, and he's just, yeah, that's the demonic stuff. That's a perfect. Sure, he's like up for the runtime on like Constantine's level. We don't need anything more. He is a fun guy. Now, there are Riri Williams looks like a get-girl. So why is she in a AAA production? But she works out, with the backstory and all that. I will talk about in a minute. But she's the face you want, and she's actually fine. I have no real trouble with her acting. Now, let's talk about the team. Let's talk about Mr. Cape, or whoever calls himself in English. He is great pick because he is sticking out like a sore thumb. He is good because he is not good. That's the point of his character. I adore it. Now, the other tech guy who was in the team before Riri took over, the team changed him for because he lacked skills they needed. I don't like that comedian. I was glad he was out. But he is like in half an episode or something, so fine, whatever. Now let's talk about the team. Finally, we have Cone. It's a thin black girl with a hair, and then we have the person who has long nails and all kinds of. If had, female hair, a wig, or the clothes, you would say that person is a, transvestite, like in the movie Slay. But so sure, weird. And then the Blood Brothers, or I don't know, it's probably called also in English. Or even though they look female, I checked the casting, and one of them is a trans person through transition from, well, didn't really transition, transition to non-binary, was a female, and the voice is still female, so I don't know what's up with that, but you know, he's her buddy, so I have no say in the matter. They are good. They are the muscle of the party, and they are brawlers. You know, I didn't mention this, but in the Marvels, the action scenes where the Marvels fought were slow as fuck. It was ridiculously slow. Those people need some kind of training because that sucked. Here, these two are working as a unit, and they have their own style. It's kind of an MMA style, brawling forward with big muscles and whacking people. So it's not very sophisticated. It's more a brute strength style, but it's recognizable. You can distinguish them from other action people. I hope they will work together in the future again because I just like the team. And that's pretty much it. Everyone. Oh, and there is the friend of the leader, Mr. Cape, who is an asshole, and he fulfills his function. Let's say that he is not. He is the most normal of the bunch. But one thing is why they are casted with this way is Mr. Cape is really scratching the bottom of the society who are capable but lacking the opportunity, and they satisfy his requirements. So he's not aiming for long-term relationship, and it is even implied that after all the job is done, everybody will lose their head. So at least they are unique, and that's something. They don't get many lines, what is probably most fortunate, but they are working out. Very cheesy way, but they are working out. So there is that. But when you are trying to market something in the MCU, you try to make things for broad appeal, and this kind of team won't bring is niche. So it's not general audience thing, especially not in a country where Donald Trump and his MAGA movement is running the things. So anyway, back to what the general problem of the people was with Riri, that she is just a one-note character who is not a superhero and is kinda super villain or something, and she's just a gangster from the ghetto and who is robbing rich white people or something. Um, you get the gist, but you should pay attention to, and it's even in the first quarter of an hour. First, Riri Williams is not more intelligent, clever, whatever, maybe more intelligent, but definitely not more educated than Tony Stark. She is in the MIT in a privileged position, so she actually has access to all the technology outside of Wakanda. She does. The only thing distinguishing her from working straight to Stark Industries is the name of the institute. That's it. She has access to everything. But she's obsessed making the suit because that's a long story. Watch the series if you are interested. But this is an obsession of her, and she is spending all her time on this. And we learn from the first quarter of an hour when she has this discussion with the director of the MIT that she herself says she doesn't understand the courses. She just don't. Tony Stark did. So, yeah, there is this. So, on the other hand, what's Riri's problem is as a character is that she is a protege since her early childhood. She finished the schools early, pushed into university and MIT, and was hyped by Wakanda and had all these adventures and already invented a lot of stuff. But she never has enough money, so she's like Bible God. Never enough money. So she's selling for scraps her inventions. And so she doesn't need education. She needs someone who can demand things from her, someone who she can demand things from and get stuff from. And she never had that. She remained a kid. She is technically adult. I guess she is around 21. But she is still a child who never had to face consequences and hardship. I mean, real hardship, where she didn't get what she wanted, where she met opposition to her demands. And that is why Joe's character is that great. Son of Obadiah from Iron Man 1. He is the ethical anchor to her. And she demands, she demands stuff from him. She's doing this extortion. But then he makes extorting from her. And that makes them a working relationship. And that was missing, that's what was missing from her life. A working relationship. Because everybody thought her she's better than everyone else, and her tragedy is that she is better than everybody else. So why slow down and stick to the rest of the society when she knows better? With enough stuff, she could have been Dr. Doom, for fuck's sake. Seriously. She is a good character, but she is not a superhero. Then, you understand why, on the conceptual level, Ironheart is problematic being in the MCU. Because the MCU was supposed to be a superhero franchise. So why doesn't the CEO or someone, a spokesperson, comes out and explain to us who Ironheart is, what the show is about, what's the story they're trying to tell? Because this is not a bad story. And there is progression for her. She starts to question her demanding nature. She deals with her past negative experiences. She even is willing to slow down and express her problems to the average people who are there trying to support her. And she is ready to accept that support. There is a clear character progression, but even by the show's own telling, she is not a superhero. She never becomes one. In the first episode, seriously, everything you have to know about the show, its foundations, is in the first episode. Or, I don't know, maybe in the... Anyway, so she goes to Cloak, or whatever his name, and asks, is this Ocean's 11 or the mafiosos? That's an important distinction in her head and for the show. Because Ocean's 11 is the funny guys robbing the clearly bad person. In the mafiosos, the bad guys are robbing from either the general public or good persons. So that's an important... She isn't an anti-hero, but I don't know. So there is a distinction. She's not a villain per se. And that's where the ending comes in. The deal with Mephisto. She is doing the exact same thing like Constantine did. She doesn't bargain her way into heaven. No, far from it. But when she sells her soul to Mephisto, that's for the greater good. Not for personal gain, but for someone else. It's a kind of self-sacrifice. But this thematic just doesn't fit in the MCU. Superheroes are supposed to be, here are the clearly good guys, here are the clearly bad guys. That's it. Maybe we have someone like the Punisher who is on the middle ground, but that's still a clear character, clear cut, a cliche character. We know where we are standing with it. With Riri Williams, that's a whole other thing. I don't say this is a great show, but it's far from the piece of crap people are saying it is. It's not. If you can tolerate weird looking people, and if you remember in the 90s, people looked weird in America, I'm in the USA, then I say, give it a chance. It won't save your life and turn around it, but this is a much better show than most of the recent MCU.